Hello everybody, welcome to Totally Tabled. My name is Shaggy, and today I'm doing a sponsored preview of Hotshots 2nd Edition. Hotshots is a cooperative push-your-luck board game for 1 to 4 players about fighting wildfires from publisher Fireside Games, who have paid me to make this video. They're running a Kickstarter campaign beginning very soon for the 2nd edition of Hotshots, as well as a new expansion called Hotshots Inferno. Please click the link in the description below for more information. Now, as you can see, I've gotten everything set up for either a solo or a 2-player game. Please keep in mind this is a prototype copy, so everything you see here is subject to change. For example, the flame tokens in the final game will be completely different from these. In fact, in the deluxe edition, the final flame tokens will have LED lights in them. For all the details on the components and the differences between the retail and deluxe editions, please check out the Kickstarter link in the description. I don't really know about any of that stuff, I'm just going to teach you how the game plays. As part of setup, I built this map, completely randomizing the terrain tiles. Every time you play, you're going to have a different configuration. In fact, for extra challenge and variety, you can build the map in basically any shape that you want. The rulebook contains suggestions for alternative layouts that are inspired by national parks. For your first game, it's recommended to stick with this. Some of those maps can be very challenging. Now, each of the terrain tiles is unique with special gameplay elements. I'll go over all of these in detail later. For now, just place the wind marker facing north on the fire camp tile. This is the one that's outlined in blue. On the air attack base tile, place 3 vehicle tokens. And then place 12 fire markers on the appropriate spaces, based on these little marks on certain tiles. You then need to set up the fire deck. You're basically going to spread out certain cards throughout this deck, kind of pandemic style. I'll go over all the cards in that deck just a little bit later. Then players need to select their character. For the solo game, you play with 2 characters. There's 4 characters to choose from, and they each have a special ability. The Sawyer here lets you turn the chainsaw die result into the axe result, and vice versa. I guess it's technically not an axe, it's called a Pulaski. Each die face represents one of 6 tools that are used by Hotshots when fighting fires. The Lookout's special ability allows them to draw 2 fire cards and pick 1 to resolve. You'll see that in action very soon. The Swamper is much like the Sawyer, only they can swap the blue and gray result. And the Crew Boss lets you, one time on your turn, move another character 1 space. Once you've picked your characters, you want to set the figures on the fire camp tile. You're then going to place all the reward tokens into the draw bag, and that's it. That's setup complete. We're ready to begin. In Hotshots, players are members of the Interagency Hotshot Crews, a real group of highly skilled firefighters who are sent to remote areas during complex forest fires. They're often the first crews to deploy to a fire. To win the game, players must successfully put out the fire by removing all fire tokens from the board. Players can lose the game in 4 different ways. If you have 8 or more tiles that become scorched. If the fire camp tile becomes scorched. If you run out of flame tokens from the supply. Or if you have to reshuffle the fire deck for a second time. Players take turns in order, and each turn consists of 3 phases. First, you can move your character up to 2 tiles away. If you enter a tile that's on fire, you must immediately end your movement. Keep in mind that any number of players can be on the same tile at the same time. In fact, there's reasons why you would want to do that. And there's really only a couple other restrictions. For example, this rocky terrain right here requires 2 movement points to enter and 2 movement points to leave. The other restriction is this lake, which you cannot move into. I think I'd like to start with the Lookout, and they're going to move over to this fire right here. 1, 2, just like that. After finishing your move phase, you get to fight the fire, and you do this by rolling all 6 of the custom dice. Your goal is to match as many of the icons that are shown at the bottom of the tile as possible. The more you match, the better the reward. So let's roll and see what we get. Oh my goodness. We got a lot of Pulaskis. And we got a chainsaw. But that's it. Just 2 matches. At this point, we can choose whether to stop rolling, or we can lock in as many matches as we want and then roll again. The trick is we need to lock in at least 1 match. And if we ever roll and fail to lock in a match, then we bust. We have a failure, and that's really bad. I think I'm just going to lock in that 1 chainsaw. That's going to leave as many icons available to get another match as possible, and maybe we can get a better roll. Okay. Now that that's locked in, it cannot be unlocked. All right. That's a little better. We got the yellow helmet and the Pulaski, but that's only 3 matches now if we were to lock those in. If we were to stop right now and lock in those 3 matches, that's sort of the minimum amount that you can lock in order to get a reward. If it's less than 3, you get nothing, although you do avoid getting a penalty. If you lock in 3 matches and stop rolling, then you get to take a fire break marker and place it on any edge of your current tile. These fire break markers prevent the fire from spreading through to adjacent tiles. Well, most of the time. That's not always true, but most of the time it's true. You'll see what I mean. With 4 matches, that's when you get to remove 1 flame token. Or if you'd like, you can place a fire break marker instead. So with just these 3 matches, we're not going to get to remove a flame token. We would need 1 more match. Now, if you can get all the way up to 5 matches, you get to remove 2 flame tokens and then either place a firebreak marker or grab a random reward token from the draw bag. Reward tokens are one-time use bonuses that you can hold on to and play anytime on your turn. Well, at least before you draw a fire card. You can only hold on to 3 of these reward tokens at a time, except for in a solo game. In a solo game, reward tokens are shared amongst your 2 characters, and there's no hand limit. Lastly, if you match all 6 dice, you can remove up to 3 flame tokens and get both a firebreak marker and a reward token. Don't worry about remembering all of that. All of your options are displayed on your player card for easy reference. I think maybe I'm going to go for it. Problem is, do I want to lock both of those in, or do I just want to lock one of them in? I think I'll lock both of them in, and I'll roll these 3. We're hoping to get one of those blue tubes, I forget what that's called, or a chainsaw. We have to at least get one of those icons, or it's a failure. Oh, we got very lucky. We did manage to get a chainsaw. So there we go. We have 4 matches locked in. We could roll again if we wanted, but I think I'm going to stay right there with my 4 matches. That's going to let me remove 1 fire token. Now, if I hadn't rolled that chainsaw, if I had rolled this instead, then I would have busted. I would have had a failure. And failure results in a blow up, which means you have to add a flame token to your current tile. And then that's it. You get nothing else. You don't get to get any reward for the dice you've already locked in. Furthermore, anytime the number of flame tokens on a space equals or exceeds the number that's on the right side of all of these tiles, then that tile becomes scorched. You remove all the flame tokens, and then you flip it over to its scorched side. Looks like this. You then must add a flame token to an adjacent tile with the lowest scorched limit number. And it has to be one that's not blocked by one of those firebreak markers. Now, scorching can result in other tiles becoming scorched, since, you can add these new flames to a tile that's already burning. Or in this case, if this tile that we're currently on were to go scorched, it would place a fire here. And that just has a 1 scorch value, so it would immediately become scorched, which would then spread fire to another one. It would be either this one or this one, because those each have a 2 scorch value. So keeping this tile from scorching is a big priority for me. Remember, if 8 tiles become scorched, you lose the game. There are also special actions that must be resolved when certain tiles scorch. For example, when these 4 tiles scorch, the corresponding character loses their special ability. So if this tile scorches, our Sawyer loses their ability to swap the dice. That's another reason why I want to protect this tile. When this lodge space scorches, you must spread 3 flame tokens to 3 adjacent tiles with the lowest fire number. When this fire cache tile scorches, you remove the reward token supply completely from the game. No more rewards for you. Oh man, and when this propane tank scorches, it blows up, sending 1 flame to every adjacent tile. And lastly, when the air attack base is scorched, all vehicles still on the tile are destroyed. So as you can see, failing one of those rolls is very bad. But it is possible to avoid the penalty with support. Each support that you gain allows you to forgive one of your failures, and you can then either stop rolling or you can try rolling again. You can gain support in several ways. First, you receive 1 support for each other firefighter that's on your tile. You also gain 1 support if you're fighting a fire when it's adjacent to the lake. That's what that symbol there means. Lastly, there's also reward tokens that can provide you with 1 support. But we didn't need any support, we succeeded, we got rid of 1 of those flames, and now we go on to the last phase of our turn, drawing 1 fire card. You're going to do that whether you succeed or fail at fighting the fire. And because we're playing as the lookout, we actually get to draw 2 fire cards and pick 1. The one that we don't pick will just go back on top of the deck. So it looks like we got fire increases. This is going to require us to add 2 flame tokens to 1 burning tile that has a scorch limit of 5. Right now, we only have 2 tiles that are currently burning that have a scorch limit of 5. This one down here and the one that we're on. This tile here and that tile up there both have a scorch limit of 5, but they're not currently burning. These fire increases cards will only add to a fire, they won't start new fires. That means if none of the 5 scorch limit tiles were on fire, then this would add nothing. We would just ignore it. Now the problem with this card is if we add it here, this tile will immediately scorch because then it'll have 5 flames on it. But because we tackled one of the flames there, if we add 2 here, it won't reach its scorch limit. So we will have protected it from scorching, but it will be darn close to it. The other card that we could resolve instead is a light breeze. Now this is one of the types of cards that we've kind of spread out throughout the deck to make sure they don't get too clumped up. This one is actually going to spread flames to adjacent non-burning tiles in the wind direction. So this is one type of card that adds flames to non-burning tiles. And it's really bad. Because the wind is currently going north, that's how it starts, then this flame will add 1 here, this will add 1 there, this will add 1 there, that'll add 1 there and there. This one won't add 1 because it's at the edge. So that's going to add a ton of flames. We would like to delay using that. So I think we're going to have to put that one back on top. And we'll resolve this one. We'll add 2 flames. And we could just accept that this is going to scorch. I mean, that might be the best thing. Yeah, you know what? Let's give it a shot. I think we're going to accept that this is going to scorch. So, boom. It immediately scorches. If we were playing with this character, they would lose their special ability, but we're not. So we're going to flip it over to its scorch side. And now we have to add a flame to an adjacent tile with the lowest scorch value. Well, we have 3 here that are 3s. A 3 there, a 3 there, and a 3 there. When it's tied like that, the players get to decide. And that's pretty much true throughout the whole game. Anytime there's like a tie, you can decide. And part of me wants to just add it to this one rather than starting a flame in a new location. It does mean that this tile is only one away from scorching, but I think that'll be best. Great, now we just discard this card. And there you go, that is the end of the Lookout's turn. It would then go to the next player. They would get to move up to 2 spaces, fight a fire, and then draw a card. And we just keep going around from player to player doing that. If you're playing the solo game, however, you actually get to pick which character goes. And one character can go multiple times in a row. So if I wanted, I could have the Lookout go again. But no, I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I will have the Sawyer go. And I was kind of thinking I could come down here and try to remove this one flame so that when the wind blows with that light breeze, then that tile will be protected. Then we'll just be getting a fire there, there, and there. Yeah, so let's give that a try. We can move 2, going around this fire, because again, if you move into a fire, you have to stop. We get over here, and now we get to roll all the dice and try to fight this fire. And the Sawyer is a really good choice for this fire because we can use our chainsaws as these Pulaskis. Yeah, and look at that. Bam! Because of their special ability, we can turn that into one of those, and that's 4 matches right like that. I think I'm happy with that because that lets me remove this, and we're good. No re-rolling necessary. So now we would draw a fire card, and unlike the Lookout, they just have to draw and resolve the top one, but we know what it is. We already saw it. We know that the fire is going to spread to the north, because that's the current wind location. So one goes there, one goes there, and one goes there. Now that's not great, because remember, another way to lose the game is if that tile were to scorch. So we have to make sure we protect that tile. Another rule that I should mention is if a firefighter is ever on a tile that scorches, as a penalty for that, you actually lose one of your dice. For every fighter there, you take one of the dice and you put it onto your starting location. The dice on there can't be used until you recover them. And you do that by having a character go to that tile and end their movement there. Then at the end of that turn, you get to take back all of those dice. So you really don't want to be stuck on a scorched tile. These scorched tiles also can't have fire added to them. The fire can't move like through them, but players can. You can walk on it just like it's a normal location. For my third turn, I think I would like to go back to the Lookout. I want them to go like this. 1, 2 over to here. We're going to try to eliminate that fire from the lodge. Remember, you can move out of a burning hex. That's fine. It's just if you move into one, you have to stop your movement. The nice thing here is we are getting 1 support, which means that we can fail once without penalty. Well, and it's a good thing too, because look at that. Oh no, we do have 1 success. Wait a minute. Okay, we're fine. We can lock that in because we do have that 1 saw. I thought for a minute there we had completely busted. So again, we have to lock 1 in, which we're going to do, and now we're going to roll again. Okay, once again, we're barely hanging on there, but we are able to lock 1 more in. I really want to get rid of that flame, so we need to roll 2 hoses. All right, we got 1 hose, so we'll lock that in. Now, normally, I would be kind of concerned about rolling again. I might think about standing with this to avoid busting, but because we have that 1 support, because we're next to the lake, we don't have to worry about that. Ooh, there we go. We got our 4. We might as well roll again and see if we can get another one. Oh, look at that. We might be able to go for a full success. Let's see. Ah, Okay, so this would be a failure. Finally, this is amazing. We did so well. We use that support to forgive us for that failure. And now we have the choice. We can stop and get our reward, or we could, if we wanted to, roll again. Obviously, we're not going to do that. So we got 5 successes. That means we would get to remove up to 2 flames. There's only 1, so we'll remove that one. And now we can choose whether we want to put a fire break down, which, I mean, the wind is blowing north, so we could put a fire break right here. That would, you know, protect that from these flames here. But I'm thinking of going down there and taking care of that. Although instead, I could go around over here and try to take that one on. No, but I do think that I will instead get a reward token. So let's grab a random one out of the bag, see what we get. Okay, we got a support. So we can leave this here, and anytime we're rolling and we have a failure, boom, we can use that support token. That's going to be huge. And now we can use our Lookout special ability to look at 2 fire cards and pick one. So we're either going to resolve another fire increases. This one says that we have to put a flame on a burning tile that has the lowest scorch number. Oh my goodness, and look what we've done. This tile with a 3 would be the lowest scorch number. We just removed the 3 from here, so that means it would have to go here. This is the only burning 3, and that would cause this to scorch. Now, maybe that's not the worst thing in the world. The fire would spread to here. If this scorches, fire goes to here. The other card we could do is Wind Blows South. So this card actually changes the direction of the wind. In this case, it would go from north to south, and then the flames spread. So it works just like the light breeze, except for the wind changes direction first. I mean, that's awful. Because this would come down here, that would scorch. So I think for sure we're going to put that one back. We'll do this one. We have to place one in the lowest that's already burning, because again, these don't create new fires. They just build up the fires we already have. This immediately scorches. This fire spreads to the lowest. Now, fire can't go onto the lake. And we have 4, 5, and the 3. So the 3 is the lowest scorch value. It goes there. And now we know, unless we go with the Lookout again, that the fire is going to move south. Or rather, the wind's going to change south, and then all the fire is going to blow down that way. That means that we could go back to the Lookout, have them come up here, and at least try to put a fire break there to keep this from getting scorched, because it just has a 1 value. It's just it's just ready to go up. This one not going anywhere. This one not going anywhere. This one comes here, scorches, and then it's going to spread either there or there. So again, that's not the end of the world. I mean, this is probably going to scorch one way or the other. Then we could deal with that. I mean, we're going to have some scorches. We can't prevent all scorches here. Or I could come here, try to clear that out completely, which would keep this safe. And then, yes, it would spread back into there, but at least I've contained it from coming down here. And I do have this support, so that might be the best thing to do. So yeah, so we'll go back to the Sawyer. We'll come here, and we're going to try to take out both of those fires. That's 5 successes, but look at this. We can interchange those two, the red and the orange. So this is a great place for the Sawyer to fight. Three successes right off the bat, and we might as well take them. and go again. Okay, one success. We can keep going. We just need one more. And that is a failure. So we're going to spend our support. It's now gone. And we're going to roll again. We're risking it. If this is a failure, then that's it. We're going to have a blow up. And that's going to be bad. Oh, we got very lucky. There it is. So bam. That is the 5 that we needed. Boom. We can take out 2 of those. And look at this. We can put a firewall. That will actually prevent that fire from coming in here. That is fantastic. So now we draw this card. We're going to change the orientation of our flag. We now know it's blowing south. A fire would come down here, but that firewall protects it, the fire break. This one can't come here because it's the edge. This one can't come here because you can't add fire to a scorch. Same thing here. So that's the only one that burns. And because it's a 1, it's going to scorch immediately. That spreads the fire either to here or here. Let's put it over here because that's the propane tank where if it blows, it spreads fire all around. We don't want that propane tank to blow. So we're going to come over here. Now let's go over a couple of things that I haven't mentioned yet. And one of them are these vehicles. Unfortunately, in this map configuration, the vehicles were very far away, hard to get to. But if you can get your character over there, so if we were to somehow mosey our way over here, it would still take a couple of rounds. But if we can get to that tile, then you actually have the option of either using one of the vehicles that are still present or rolling to fight a fire. You don't do both, you get to choose. Each one of these vehicles is single use only. So you're going to use it one time and then it's going to go off the board. This here, this air tanker, this is a specialized plane that drops water on fire over a large area. The air tanker allows you to remove 1 flame token from 3 tiles that are adjacent and connected by either in a straight line or in kind of a curved line, but not in sort of a triangular form. So for instance, it could be here and here, and then if there was one here or there, we could do those. Or even if there was one here, we could do those 3. But you're only removing 1 flame from each. The air tanker can't be used on this tile right here. That's what that symbol means, because these are power lines. So you can't sort of fly over there. Now again, that can be anywhere on the board. You remove the air tanker and then you place your character either on the first tile or the last tile of that line. So your character kind of moves with that vehicle. And we also have the helicopter. It can actually make precise drops of water with very high accuracy using what's called a Bambi bucket. This lets you remove 3 flame tokens from 1 tile anywhere on the board. It also cannot be used on the power line tile. And again, wherever you used it, that's where you're going to place your character, and then you're going to remove the token. And lastly, we have the dozer. The bulldozer is cool because it can create 3 fire breaks, and it can do it in one of 2 ways. It can either do it in like sort of a continuous line, so like it go or boom, 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 something like that. Or it can do it in kind of a Y shape. So it could go like dunk, dunk, dunk. And it could do it anywhere on the board. So those are incredibly handy and very useful. And I'd like to get over there and start using them. You know what? Let's activate the lookout again. Let's go up here. Let's clear off that tile. I don't want that going up. Okay, we got 1, 2 matches. No, 3 matches. It could be worth just staying and putting down a fire break. So yeah, I'm not going to take the risk. I am going to keep my 3 successes. We're going to put a fire break there. We know the wind is blowing south, and maybe I can take another crack at it. And the lookout gets to look at 2 of these, so hopefully we can avoid the worst option. Okay, we have another fire increases. This one works a lot like the others, except for we're going to be putting 1 fire into 2 different hexes that are burning that have a 4 scorch limit. Okay, so that's somewhat annoying. That would be here and there. Those are the only 2 where it could go. Or we could pick the worst card in the game. There are several of these in the deck, and this is really bad. This is the Strong Feeding Gust. Here, flames spread to adjacent burning and non-burning tiles in the wind direction. The winds, they don't feed into tiles that are already burning. They only start new fires on tiles that aren't burning. This card, however, will add to tiles that are burning and not burning. But also, they ignore fire breaks. So this thing that we just did here to protect this tile, that would be ignored with this card, and the flame would come over there regardless, as well as here. So that is a terrible card that we don't want. We'll just go ahead and do the fire increases. Four there. And the 4 there. I think I want to try to remove that fire there. Because at the very least, we could put a fire break and just kind of cordon that off. So yeah, let's give it a try. Looks like 3 matches to me. Maybe I'll hold that one back. So we'll just do those 2, and then we'll reroll. There we go. Got both of those. That's the 4 that I needed. Bam. Clear that one. And because it was the lookout, we get to draw 2 again. Ooh, okay, so we have Ember here. This is the last of the different types of cards that are in the deck. This one just adds 1 flame to a specific tile. In this case, it's adding to the campground, which is where we are. That's funny. I actually think we'd prefer the Feeding Gust. So let's go ahead and do that. And now this is going to do very little damage. Wind is moving south, and this is going to ignore that fire break, but it's just going to move 1 there. Nothing here, nothing here, nothing here, nothing there. So that's about as good as you could hope for. So there you have it. You've seen pretty much every different type of card that's in that deck. We're just going to keep doing this until we either win by getting rid of every single flame, or we lose by having 8 scorched tiles, or we run out of flame tokens, or our starting location gets scorched, or we go through the entire deck twice. So you are allowed to go through it once and then reshuffle the discard pile and then go through it again. If this looked fun, please go check out the Kickstarter page. A link is in the description below. But until next time, that's all for me. I'd like to thank all the financial supporters of Totally Tabled, including the Totally Radical Hextra, John Kohler, Scott Myers, and Jay Satterwhite, as well as the Totally Bodacious Poppy. If you're interested in becoming a member, you can join on YouTube or my Patreon at www.patreon.com/totallytabled. You'll gain access to my new exclusive podcast, Table Talk, as well as unboxing videos and whatever extra stuff I come up with. As always, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.